Hello, CuteCuriousCats! Welcome to another video of this series that I'm doing and I'm really passionate about, in which we will be focusing on the history of everyday stuff that all of us use or most of us use, but we know nothing about. If you ever wondered,
who thought of that? Why does this thing that I'm using exist?
well, here, my friend, you will get all your answers. Because I'm a curious cat as well. The inspiration of today's video came from Tuesday's video, Starbucks. And because it's my favorite drink ever, today we will be talking about coffee, hence my makeup. Very brown and match with with my background. Give me access to good coffee and I can conquer the world. I'm not joking. A little disclaimer. We will not be focusing on the coffee beans, where they came from and stuff like that. We can do that in another video. Today, we will be focusing on the beverage as a beverage. How did it start? Why? How did they use it? What machines they used? And the machines that we have today to make coffee, where did they came from, and yada yada yada. You get the point. And of course, I have my coffee here. I will tell you that it's a decaf coffee because right now it's 7 o'clock. So if I drink more coffee, I will be up all night and I don't want to do that. It is mentioned that the earliest drinks included the whole fruit, the outside and inside, everything. I cannot imagine how that would taste, and I don't know if I would like to try. Let's move on. In the 13th century, coffee was firstly traded in the Arabian Peninsula. I've learned a new word. I always wondered how the peninsula is called in English, and I found out. Yay! During this period, the traditional way of brewing coffee was sipping coffee grounds in hot water. And then it was left there, which was a process that could take anywhere from 5 hours to half a day. It's not for people on the go. But I think then people weren't on the go. By the 16th century, coffee made its way to Turkey, Egypt, and Persia. Turkey is home to the first method of coffee brewing. I suddenly can hear my roommates and I'm very self-aware that they can hear me and I'm shy. The Ibrik method. Fellow Greeks, just hear me out. These are historical facts. You can argue about moving of populations and origins and stuff like that, but the Ibrik method is still used today. It got the name by the small pot that they use to brew the coffee, which is called Ibrik, which in Greek is called Diki. How you can brew coffee with the Ibrik method, you ask? Let me tell you, I know it firsthand. I was doing it before I was able to drink coffee. Get the pot, put some water in it, mix all the ingredients there, and then you wait for it to boil a little bit, and then you pour it on your cup. But Turkish coffee, it's a little bit different than Greek coffee, because in Turkish coffee, you add the water, you mix the coffee grounds, spices, and then bring it to a boil, put it off the heat, again bring it to the boil, do this procedure for sometimes, and then pour it to the cup. Usually it has a foam on top, which is I love Turkish coffee or Greek coffee, whatever you want to call it, it's the same now, so yeah. This method revolutionized the coffee brewing process to be more efficient and not so time consuming as the method before that. So people could have it more regularly and in a daily basis. Thank you to the people that understood this process and make coffee a daily thing. I cannot thank you enough for this treasure, because it is a treasure. It's the second most traded thing in the world after oil. It's money. In the 17th century, coffee made its way to Europe finally. finally started, of course, in Italy, though at first people were not so fond of coffee and they called it bitter invention of. It was a satanic drink because it was bitter. It was so bad that the Pope himself, Pope Clement VIII, I think, had to try this beverage to understand what the people were talking about, and he found coffee a delightful beverage. It's the first time that I'm agreeing with the Pope. So then everybody became okay with it. I want to be as influential as a Pope, or don't I? No, I don't think that I want to be that kind of influential. No, let's continue. And of course, coffee shops, like normal coffee shops, not the kind that we have here in the Netherlands. If you know, you know. Were popping out here and there. People wanted to try coffee and have a place to go and socialize. So coffee became a way of socialization. In these coffee shops, the primary brewing method was coffee pots. The coffee grounds were put inside these pots, then the water was heated up until just the boiling phase, and it was just. The sharp spouts of these pots helped to filter out the coffee grinds, and their flat bottoms allowed for sufficient heat absorption. They believe that the first coffee filter, was a sock. As disgusting as it sounds, if you think about a clean sock, it's better than a cheesecloth. When I read what I'm about to say to you, I was, wow. Coffee began to replace the common breakfast beverages, beer and wine. Can we take a moment to comprehend what I just read to you? And in 2022, if you drink beer or wine in the morning, you consider to be either on vacation or an alcoholic. In 1780, the Mr. Piggin became popular as the first commercialized coffee maker. It tried to improve some of the faults of the cloth filtering procedure. After these pots made their way to England, 300 different coffee shops opened in London, many of which attracted like-minded people, like merchants, shippers, brokers, artists. All of those people came together for coffee and they socialized. So as you can understand, many businesses grew from these shops. At this point, we can all agree that coffee connects people. Oh no, that's not here. I have to mention something petrifying. When I read that, I was terrified for my life. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but hear me out. Coffee was banned from 5 different countries in different time periods. Let me tell you the regions and a short reason why. Firstly, it was Mecca, because fascism. More on the article linked down below. Then it was Italy, because Satan. Then Istanbul, just because. Then Sweden, of all places, because it made people crazy. And then Prussia, because beer is better. I would move away like that. So the next notable invention, it's my favorite invention, I think, of all time. Espresso machine was invented in 1884 by Angelo Moriondo. He lived in Turin, Italy. Thank you, Turin. Thank you. However, another Milanese guy, Achille Gaggia, I don't know, here he is, here his name, you tell me, I don't know, is credited as the father of the modern espresso machine. Because this is something that I don't know, baristas out there, please explain to me, he increased the water pressure from 2 to 810. The espresso became much smoother and richer. And this invention standardized the cup of espresso that we know and love today. I can only understand the power of that little cup of espresso in Italy. Not anywhere else. I don't know what's up with that. Oh, and also, can we stop calling it Espresso. Espresso. Give it a little respect, people. Espresso. Espresso. Can we all agree? Please? Before I go crazy. Another invention that helped with one of the coffees that I love today is the French press, which weirdly and funnily enough, we don't know exactly where its origin is from. Both Italy and France claim the coffee, but we don't know. The French press works by mixing hot water with coarsely ground coffee. And after soaking for a few minutes, a metal plunger separates the coffee from the used grinds, making it ready to pour to a cup. It's so good. I don't have a French press, sadly, and it's delicious, delicious, delicious. A coffee that I don't care to talk about much, and I don't think that it's delicious or even tasty, is instant coffee, which is self-explanatory. You just get warm water, a coffee compound, and then pour the hot water in the cup and mix it, and then you have coffee. If you ever catch me with an instant coffee, just ask me how am I doing. I will probably start crying and sobbing, and then you will understand why I have an instant coffee, because my life is a mess. It was great for work. They were using it because it was faster. It had the effect of coffee, alerting and energizing people. But yeah, let's leave it at that and continue with the commercial coffee filter. It has an interesting story. Until 1908, the filter that was used for the coffee was cloth. The first paper coffee filter that we now use today was debuted by Melita Benz. After being so frustrated with cleaning the coffee residue from the cloth, she used a page from her son's notebook to line the bottom of her coffee pot, filled it with coffee grinds, and then slowly poured hot coffee over the grinds. And just like that, the paper filter was invented. Today, hear me out. Today, the Melita Benz Coffee Company is worth $1 billion. So what the story teaches us all is, if you are frustrated with an everyday chore that you do, and you find a better solution to it because of your frustration, share it with the world and sell it to them. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I will take just 5%, negotiable, of your earnings. That was the history of coffee as a beverage. It was an interesting one. While some coffee fans prefer old school methods of brewing coffee, the home coffee machines have become so good and cheap. I have a Senseo machine, coffee machine from Philips, I think, which makes decent coffee for the price. It's the best coffee. But I was saying to my roommate the other day that I want to have a coffee corner in my house. Just to have an espresso machine, a kind of Nespresso machine with capsules so people can use it more easily. Then I want to have a French press and the machine for filtered coffee. I want to have that. It's one of my dreams. And also I want to have my own coffee. My own coffee company. Would you try that? Would you buy that? Just let me know so I can start working on it now. That was it for today's video. Share it with your friends and family to make them more knowledgeable. And I hope you feel a little bit more smart after watching this. But if you don't worry, I got you. Click here, I've got a playlist and video for you to discover more things. Click here, watch them, and then let me know if you feel smarter. I bet you do. And also subscribe.